Good day. Welcome to the Chai Academy, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Rabbi Saacks, Yakov Saacks, the rabbi of the Chai Center, and Chai Academy is a COVID initiative for people who could not attend classes face to face. So we started this a couple of years ago now, right? And where we have a few hundred classes under our belt. One can see these and other classes at the Chai Academy, thechaiCenter.com/academy. So the past few classes has been basically self-help. And the past few classes have been on defining oneself, right? Understanding oneself, setting your boundaries, saying no, know your personality, and know your strengths, know your weakness. More importantly is know your strengths, etc., etc. So it's under the self-help section of the Chai Academy. Today we're going to be talking about confronting your fears, confronting your phobias, how to deal with them, how to deal with phobias, how to deal with fears, how to deal with demons. You know, we all have our fears, we all have our phobias. The question is how do you deal with them? And Judaism actually has a tremendous response, which we'll get into, and that's the purpose of this class, is to give a response from the Torah, from the Bible. However, it's a response that is it's completely egalitarian for anybody. So it's not a parochial Jewish response. It's from the Torah. We'll begin with discuss what is a phobia, right? So it's interesting to know that, example would be of a phobia is public speaking. Many people, in fact, I believe that's the number one phobia, is public speaking. The second phobia is dying. So, to me, I've always wondered that. So, a person would rather at a funeral home, a person would rather be in the casket than give the eulogy. Hi, Eileen. That always struck me as funny. But we have phobias. Some people have phobias of the dark. Some people have agoraphobia. Some people have a phobia of clowns or whatever. How do you deal with phobias? How do you deal with your fears? How do you conquer them? How do you move on, right? And it doesn't matter, by the way, if these phobias are from childhood. It doesn't matter if it's, your inner child talking, or it doesn't matter if this is, a phobia that you've developed over time, not necessarily from childhood. So there's a fascinating discussion, and it's from the Torah. I just to give you a very short understanding of what we're discussing, is we just celebrated Passover, where the Hebrews were taken out of exile from Egypt and were brought forth into the desert. The desert wasn't their final destination. They were supposed to receive the Torah on Mount Sinai and then go into Israel. Before going into Israel, they approached Moses. The Jewish people, the Hebrew nation, approached Moses and said, "We want to send spies." So Moses turned to God, and God said, "Yeah, go for it. Send spies. If you want to do that, of course." So Moses told them to send spies. Where's the soft belly? Where's the underbelly? What's the best way to enter? Where's the easiest place? Because they were going to conquer ancient Canaan, of which their forefathers lived and had to leave and go to Egypt. They were going back home, basically. And so the Torah tells us that Moses chose 12 men, one man from each tribe. And these men toured the land for 40 days. When they came back, they said terrible things. They said that it's fortified. The cities are fortified. Moses asked them to find that out, by the way. They said the fruit is big. The people are huge. They're tall. They're the B'nai Hanephilim. They're the children of these giants. They're big. They're bulky. They're a who is it? Andre the Giant. You remember him? They're big people, and they have tall walls, and they have large armies. And then they said, we cannot go up. Right? We absolutely cannot go up. So if we take a look at the Torah, this is in Numbers, in chapter 13, verse 28. He says, but the people that dwell in the land is powerful. The cities are greatly fortified. And we saw the offspring of the giant. And Amalek is there, and on and on and on. And it was traumatic. It caused the people such a meltdown is they turned to Moses and they said to him, we're not going. We're not going in. We're fearful. We absolutely cannot go in. We have such fear, dread, and it doesn't make sense for us. And Moses lost it. Moses says, it's insane. God said he's going to take you in. What are you doing? Right? And then I turned to the spies. Who asked for your opinion whether we're going to go in or not? I just asked you for a strategy. I didn't ask you yes or no. They said they're not going. They started to throw rocks at Moses. They tore their clothes. All night they were hollering and screaming, and God had had enough. He goes, look, clearly, I just took him out of Egypt. They've been slaves for hundreds of years. They're not ready. So it's less of a punishment, more of a consequence. Punishment would be, because you did this, I'm going to do that. I think God said, you know what? I can't convince you that you're able if you're unable. I believe you're able. But I can't convince you. If you think you can't, then you can't. Right? That whole... I was supposed to attend a Yes You Can, a rah-rah session about how you really can break out of yourself, etc. These people were more, no, we can't. And God said, okay, you still have you still have slave mentality. You're afraid. You're going to get beaten by the masters, right? You're going to get whipped. And God said, okay. So, you know what, people? Don't go. You're going to stay in the desert. We're going to be here for 40 years until pretty much the adults pass and the younger generation who were not so much involved in Egyptian slavery will be able to enter the land. That is what happened. Fast forward 40 years later. God told Moses he's not going in. He's not going into the land. He's going to die. He's going to be the captain of his ship, can't desert the ship. He's the last one off. Your people died. The people you brought out died. You're going to have to be buried with them here, etc. And he took Moses up to a mountain. Moses saw the land of Canaan, the land of Israel. And Moses was just completely enamored with the land. Begged God. God said no. 36 days before Moses passed, he gathered the Jewish people and he began to talk to them. He began to talk to them about what's expected of them. He said, I'm not going to be there with you. Joshua's going to take you in. I'm not going to be there. So it was basically his last will and testament. And he said, this is what happened, this is where you came from, this is what you did, this is where, and this is expected, you're going to Israel, etc., etc., etc. But then he did, in part of this talking, he did the unthinkable. He really did the unthinkable. We go to Deuteronomy, right? we go to Deuteronomy, and we go to chapter 9, verse 1. And this is the verse. It's so counterintuitive. And Moses was a smart man. So what's going on here? He said, Shema Yisrael. Listen. Listen, Israel. Now, Shema is only recited 3 other times aside from this. Okay, 3 other times. One of them when he was about to give over the 10 Commandments. The other one is the famous Shema that we have, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And we have this one, and there's another one. So this one is, Hear, O Israel, you are today going to cross the river Jordan. So this is the last day of Moses' life. You are today going to cross over the river Jordan. And there will be nations that are greater and mightier than you. Cities that are great and fortified. Now, it's exactly the same terminology. Exactly the same terminology that the spies came back with. He's using their lingo. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? Why didn't he say, we're going in today. We're going in. And God is with you. And why did he have to, it's you never want to bring up somebody's trauma. Right? And if you do, it should be done in a very healthy way. And in fact, it's more. He says, mightier than you, cities that are greater, fortified than you. It's up to the heaven. The spies never said that. The spies never said up to the heaven. He's telling them the walls are so high that literally, it was a hyperbole, of course, but it was incredibly strong cities. Moses knew, because Moses lived through when the spies came back and used these words, the people said, we're not going. So what did Moses do? It defies logic. He used exactly the same words that the spies used, and added to heaven. The spy says another thing. The spy says they are stronger than us. In another verse, Moses says they're stronger than you. Right? That's worse. He yelled at the spies. For what they did to create such a he took away the passion for the land, and yet seemingly he's doing exactly the same thing, and worse. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? And the question is posed, right? So it is we learn a couple of things from here. The way what Moses did that is so powerful and can be so life altering. The first thing Moses did was he did not give them false expectations. He didn't tell them it was going to be easy. He told them it's going to be grueling. It's going to be tough. Right? A person can lose credibility. The person can lose credibility if they say something, and it's not. Can you imagine a ski slope that had, they have all these signs. Double Diamond is, and there's this sign that says, it's a blue circle. It's not a hard one, but in reality, it's a double diamond. They lose all credibility. Their signs are bad. You can't rely on them. You're gonna have to ask your friends which one is a mountain good for me, because person has lost credibility. I know when I want to embark on something, I check it out first, because I want to know what I'm getting myself into. So Moses did not want to lose credibility at all. Moses didn't want people to say, right, that he completely undersold us, or he completely made less of it than it really was, right? So so he's it's he wanted to be honest with him. He wanted to be honest with him. He wanted to let them know. That's the first thing. But the second is really the answer to how to confront phobias. He said to them, you're going in to fortified, right? And you've heard this before. He says, however, you must realize that God is going with you. You're not alone. He gave them fortitude. He gave them the courage, and he told them, you can do it. You're not alone in this. You're not fighting a battle where you will surely die, because that's suicide, right? No. He told them clearly. And he also made it very clear that, you may look, you may see, and your heart melt. You may see and you tremble in fear. He said, however, it is doable. It is doable. You can do it. To break the 4-minute mile, nobody could break it. Nobody. They tried and tried and tried. Nobody could break this 4-minute mile. Until this fellow by the name of Roger Bannister, he ran and he broke the 4-minute mile. Once he broke the 4-minute mile, it became a non-issue. The 4-minute mile was broken time and time again. That 4-minute mile, right, under 4 minutes. Why was that? Because Roger Bannister set this, right? He said it's doable. It's doable. And once he showed it was doable, then so many others broke this 4-minute mile. Not I, by the way. I think if I broke any record, it would probably be how quickly can I eat a slice of pizza or something like that. But so Moses, and he told them, you saw what God did to Pharaoh. You witness how God was with you and he made the impossible possible. He says, so too, here, the impossible is possible. A person has a phobia. A person says, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. Right? I cannot go outside in the dark to the shed middle of the night to get the snowblower. I can't do it. I just can't do it. However, that's just a narrative. That's not the truth. That's just a narrative. Moshe was telling them, the story may look this way, that it's impossible, but I'm telling you it's not. It can't be done. And they did, by the way. Being nervous of going to the shed at night, I can't. That's a narrative. That's the story that you tell yourself. And by the way, stories that you tell yourself is probably the most damaging thing a human being can do. Right? You get into an argument with somebody and you start telling stories about yourself that, you did this and you did this and you did this. When in reality, it was an argument and you can move on. But you cogitate and you ruminate and you start weaving scenarios to the point where you can't tell the truth from fiction, from fact. Right? That's what happens. Here was the same thing. Moses says, the spies back in the day, They strung along a story. We can't do it. We can't do it. We can't do it. And we told them, you can do it. You can. But they couldn't. Here, Moses says, I'm not leaving it up to the spies. I'm telling you it's doable. You just have to believe in God and believe in yourself. And by the way, believing in yourself is godly. Right? It is godly. When they say that God is with you, it's you rise to the challenge. That is godly. It's you. It's the power within you that is godly. That is God. They tell a story about this little boy who had a phobia of the dark. And his mother told him, honey, if you can go outside and just open the door and get the broom. And the child says, Mommy, I can't. I'm scared of the dark. Mommy says, don't be silly. Just do it. He goes, I can't. So he said, honey, it's 5 steps. That's all it is. And he said, Mommy, I can't. So he goes, honey, just do it. I want you to know you're not going to be there alone, because God is going to be there. So the child said, okay. So the child opened the door and said, God, if you're out there, can you pass me the broom? It's really a matter of you setting the stage. And yes, we could have trauma. Pop psychology tells us that it's all for the children, what the parents did and what this one did to us and that one did to us, that causes our blockage. But the truth is, you can remove the blockage. You can. It's up to you. A little help, of course. Right? That's all Moses was doing. He didn't change the facts on the ground. He didn't change that there were a mighty army with strong men, right? Andre the Giants, all of them who had muscles and they were, they were huge, and the cities were huge, and the weaponry was advanced. He didn't change anything. He didn't say, okay, they're no longer huge. They no longer have weapons. They no longer have high walls. He didn't do that. He just said, you can do it because God is with you. And that is the answer we must tell ourselves. Whenever we have doubt, whenever you say, I can't do this, and you face your demons. Right? I have a very difficult phone call to make today. I'm pushing it off. Ultimately, I'm going to make it because I'm just going to tap in to my inner self, and I'm going to make that phone call. So it's all a matter of attitude and tapping in to inner strength. That's what Moses was trying to teach him. You got it. You can do this. Don't worry about it. God will be with you. Now, a fundamental question, and I always say this. I always say God won't, when people say God won't give you more than you can handle, I refuse to say that to somebody. I cannot. I can't tell that to somebody. I feel wrong. But a person can tell that to themselves if they so desire. Yeah, God put me in this position or whatever, I can do it. I can't say it to you, but you can definitely say it to yourself. If there's any questions, now's the time. If you enjoyed this class, please share it with others. This and all the other classes could be found on YouTube, on Spotify, on Anchor, or thechaicenter.com/academy. God bless. We'll talk.